and welcome to Conversations on Sex, Addiction, and Relationships. I'm Wendy Conquest, and I'm here with Jeanne Vattuone and Dan Drake. Tim Stein is not with us today. He will be with us next time. Before an episode like this, we brainstorm on what might be helpful to you and also what might be helpful for the three of us to think about, talk about, and suss out. And so today we wanted to talk about the definition and nuances of objectification versus noticing people. Like, what is objectification and what is noticing? Because in sex addiction, there is a lot of objectification. So, where do we start with this? Jeannie, Dan, where do you think we start?
I imagine many betrayed partners are like this level of, oh no, because if we're starting talking about this tricky conversation topic. So I just want to at least address that this is difficult and nuanced. I don't think there's one answer to it.
I think the nuance is exactly why, in my mind, people are leaning in. Okay, how are you guys going to differentiate between these two experiences and these two definitions? So I'll take the first stab, and then I really want to hear how you guys define these, because I do think there is a strong difference. And the way I talk about it is noticing is when I notice someone in the world for their attractiveness, their beauty, their whatever, their wholeness, but they're attractive. I think of humans having sexual energy. And so I may notice someone, but what I do from there, for me, determines, do I go into and moving along, or do I stay and start looking at body parts or thinking of them in a sexual way or creating my own version of fantasy with them? And that, for me, that moves into the objectification. I'm using them as an object. So for me, noticing is sort of a natural human experience, but what you do with it, for me, also goes in, do you move into objectification, or do you wish them well and move along? What are you guys defining, these nuances?
I can hear partners say, well, can a sex addict ever be able to just notice?
Sure. I'm going to
Okay.
say yes. I think that's part of recovery, is seeing people as a whole person and self-monitoring whether they move along or move into fantasy or body parting. So I'm going to keep the hope and the belief that yes, sex addicts in recovery can do that.
Do you disagree, Wendy?
It's very interesting because with different addicts, some will say, I can never look at women. If I look at a woman, now I'm in middle circle instead of inner circle with the SAA format. And then I have certainly addicts that say, of course, so if now I'm in recovery, I'll see someone and they're attractive, and then I look away. And so that doesn't trigger me. I'm not wanting to act out at all. I'm okay. It's an interesting question. I think it really depends on the individual and where they are in their recovery. And also, I'm going to say how their brain is wired. How much do they need dopamine to dump or not dump, and what does that?
Or also maybe their arousal template anyway, and what their addiction was. Because if it was primarily observing others or pornography or something versus engaging with another person, like noticing someone may be less of a problem for someone than for one person versus another.
So where do you guys have the threshold marker between noticing? I can imagine if the addict you described, like looking at women in general is difficult. Like half the world is women, or female and such.
Probably
So
more than
where
that.
do you get the noticing of, I notice someone attractive versus objectifying them? Where's the threshold?
Can I offer a few different thoughts on it too? First of all, I have to say this caveat. In no way are we condoning, because I hear the rationalization, well, they said noticing is normal. And so I'm just noticing, I see the addicts saying this
Please do not
as a
weaponize my
justification.
words.
This is not a weaponization. It's not justification to be out there with, it's not a buffet. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're advocating for. You're saying we're out in the world, we notice people. That's part of being human. So it's not a justification to do it. I would still say use all those safeguards about, if you're in a relationship, being with your partner. Where do I sit in a restaurant, for example? if someone's in recovery, you're going to choose, I'm going to sit towards the wall, not out facing all the others around me. There's other things we can do to safeguard, the limit the potential triggers or stuff out there for myself and for the partner. I guess there's a piece of it. Where's the line? Yeah, I think you're right. What do I do with it? Am I and I would say this is just noticing in the world. It's also, could be euphoric recall. It could be a thought that comes in. It's also what happens with a thought or a memory of the past. What do I do with it? Do I tend to dwell on it for a while? Do I notice someone and then look away? Do I take a second, third, fourth, fifth look? Do I, soak in what I can? Do I take mental snapshot of this person? Do I address them or come up with a scenario in my mind? Like that to me, now I've crossed lines into now I'm doing something more than noticing and looking away.
So for you then, Dan, what I heard you say was depends what I do with it.
Yeah, I think so.
That there's the noticing, and then if I take the second look, fifth look, whatever. So it's the action after that.
I'm just going to say another thing that is a huge pet peeve of mine in terms of the 3-second rule. You guys know the 3-second rule?
Don't get me started. Yes.
Yeah, right. 3-second rule. So generally how I hear it's, okay, you got 3 seconds. Anything under 3 seconds, you're good. Anything over 3 seconds, you're bad. So there's some arbitrary 3 seconds.
Wendy and I are shaking our heads for those who can't see this video.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan.
So 3-second rule, in my opinion, does not mean I have 3 seconds to steal whatever I can for someone out there in the world. That's not what it means. To me, it's 3 moments: alert, avert, affirm. I'm noticing, I'm doing something different to change where my eyes are, and then I'm affirming something about myself and about them, humanizing the other person. So there's a piece of all that, right? So I just hear this all, and I just have to say that because I feel like, well, I just look for 3 seconds. What's the big deal? That's not what we're talking about.
Say the 3 A's again, Dan.
Alert, avert, affirm.
There we go.
Well, and the alert, being alert. So this question is, I think, really challenging because sex addiction is so complicated, confusing, slippery. And what I'm doubling down on now with all of my clients is you have to understand what's happening inside your body and which nervous system you are in. Are you in a very calm, connected, easy to breathe, I'm good place? Are you in a more escalated fight or flight space? Also, it's interesting because I've been talking to people more about stress versus being afraid or escalated or triggered. And it's like, look, if you're stressed, those two aren't separate necessarily. If you're stressed, there's probably going to be a problem. And how many of us are stressed just in general these days?
You're saying that part of your nervous system is already heightened or something.
Yes. So if you are experiencing stress, chances are you're in fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't going to be mutually exclusive. And I think some people, especially with addicts, think, well, okay, he's stressed, but he's okay. I think with addicts, as soon as that stress comes, you have to say, I have to be on extra alert because I'm stressed, because I'm experiencing this intensity of something somewhere.
I think that's where this is where I'm always curious with people I'm working with on this. And because I think we can take it on the one level, which is really important on what am I noticing? Am I objectifying? I can humanize the person around me. Am I entering the world looking at a collection of body parts, or am I seeing this person as a child of God, as a human being? You get the acronym WAIL, WAIL.
No.
Why am I looking?
Oh, why am I looking?
So there's that piece because, okay, sure, we can go with blinders in the world, but also why am I looking? And I think that for a lot of guys, that's helpful. I can just stop it and stop the looking, but okay, why am I looking in the first place? What's happening inside me that's leading me to look there? Am I feeling, I think for a lot of guys that they're not even aware of, there might be emotions I'm feeling I'm not even aware of, I'm trying to push down, or I'm feeling these negative core beliefs that got stirred up. I'm feeling less than or inadequate or unworthy or something. So all this stuff, and I'm trying to seek some hit or validation out externally to feel a little bit better inside. So I think that's the stuff. I think if we can get, the one layer is the looking, but then what's underneath it? Usually there's a lot of stuff. Why am I going out in the world and trying to steal from other people right now? That there's something else going on, probably.
Well, let's say separate. I love the why am I looking? Okay. And I agree with you. If the motivation is I am out in the world looking, then we're in a different conversation. What about, again, looking for the differences and the nuances between these two? I'm watching a movie and I find one of the actors attractive. Like I wasn't looking for that movie for that person, but I find them attractive. And then how do I deal with it? Or I'm standing in the grocery store and somebody walks past me in an aisle. I wasn't, there to look, but somebody walked by. I thought they were attractive. And then again, I'm back to, did you turn your attention and refocus on your grocery list? Or did you then go somewhere in your mind with them? So talk to me, both of you, please, about if the person isn't trying to look, they're not in a stressed state to cope, where would you see the difference between objectification and noticing?
I think there's an intentionality, maybe I'm not going in someplace to notice, but is my head on a swivel and I'm taking in all that's around me versus I'm focused on what I'm doing. And there's certain people you see out in the world that are definitely clearly looking around.
Yep. I'm not talking about them.
But I think there's a self-awareness. Am I really, maybe I'm saying I'm not, but am I? I think question to look at. I think walking in with intentionality before I'm doing anything of like, okay, let me start before I go into the grocery store and have a clear intention about what I'm here to get a grocery list paid for. I'm not going here to see if I can find somebody.
So you're saying in that when the person is trying to recognize or figure out, is this a noticing or is this objectification, to back up and say, on a true, really genuine integrity basis, what state do you think you were in?
Yeah.
Okay.
And is there some possibility? I'm hoping for some chance connection with something. Or am I just going in to get something done? I mean, maybe you're granting all that. I'm good intentions. And now there's someone in the world. And now what?
Yep. You pull into the grocery store. You really think about Trader Joe's. You're really excited to get the Trader Joe's vegetables that day or the flowers that day. And you're walking from the parking lot to the grocery store. Someone walks past you. You see them to be attractive. Is that noticing? Is that objectification?
This is an interesting piece because I think they're finding now that there's no such thing as multitasking, that you are on a task and you're focused there. And if you're doing other things, somehow that's happening, but it's not really what you're doing. And so it brings to mind, okay, if you're going to the grocery store, you should be focusing on your groceries. And if you are coming out and you are going to your car, you're focusing on getting to your car. So I have to wonder if people, and it doesn't, we're saying objectification, but sometimes I think it's just a hit of connection. Like, wow, I'm getting my coffee. Oh, the barista smiled at me. Oh, I bet she likes me. Oh, that feels really good.
See, right there. What if it's, oh, she smiled at me. Well, that was nice of her. And I go on.
Right. So now I think we're broadening the topic a little bit. We're talking about objectification, which a lot of sex addicts, that's their thing, right? It's just about objectification. For other addicts, it's this piece of what I call pseudo connection. Like, they're looking for that hit of, ooh, maybe she's interested. Ooh, maybe, she would want to go to coffee with me. Maybe, and it's that good feeling of.
What about the folks who just say, that was nice of her and move along?
Exactly. So, and that's the distinction, right? And it's so interesting. And I have to wonder for partners why they get so triggered, because partners get very triggered when their addict boyfriend, husband, whomever is looking anywhere else, or smiles a little too long at the barista, or, they're wondering, wow, what's happening internally for you? And they will ask, well, what were you thinking? What was happening there? And the guys most of the time go, nothing. But she can't trust that.
By the way, it makes sense to me because, that's part of the threat is other people become a threat for the betrayed partner. So it makes sense that, looking at someone else, making a connection with somebody else, even if it's pseudo connection, would feel really scary. Noticing other body parts would feel scary, I can imagine, for a partner, right? I mean, that's not a surprise. It would make total sense. So is that where's that quote healthy part of it? Is that what you're going to come back to?
Well, no,
What's normal or healthy versus problematic?
I hear betrayed partners and addicts really struggling with this piece because, where is it? a human experience of seeing and noticing someone else in the world? And where does it cross the line into something that's more the sexual piece of the sex addiction?
Right.
And the betrayed partner not knowing, is the person in the parking lot or the grocery store, are they a threat to me or not? And certainly lots of folks who struggle with the addiction are saying, I didn't even notice that person was in the room. My betrayed partner noticed, but I didn't even know that person was in the room. Just as often as I absolutely noticed that person in the room and I tried not to check them out. So I just feel like lots of people are really trying to help figure out, where is the threat line? Where is the natural human experience, and where does it dip into the addiction, which both people have difference of experience but fear with?
Yeah. Well, and is it helpful for the addict to say, "Oh my gosh, we were out on Halloween and there were all these costumes, and wow, yeah, I noticed, because who wouldn't?" And I want to just see you. I want to see you and only you. Your body is the only body I care about. Your body is the only one that I am attracted to and want to be with. I think, to bring it back around to, it's you and only you. So if something's staring me in the face, I might say, "Oh my gosh, that's something." But now I'm turning back to my partner.
Yeah.
I think you're exemplifying the repair, the healing conversation, the reassurance conversation that is so important in those moments, whether the person with the addiction sees the other person in the room or not. It's the reassurance to betrayed partner, as long as it's true, of, I'm into you and only you, whether I notice them or not, but I'm into you. That's the relational repair conversation.
Yeah. And it's also it's the relational repair. It's the, how do if the threat is abandonment to somebody else, or if the threat is someone's going to engage in, these behaviors, if they can reassure, no, there's triggers out there. These people aren't going to take me away from my recovery or from you. I think that is really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I do also want to emphasize really quickly that I think some partners are hyper vigilant out in the world because they're gaslit by the addict. And I've heard this not commonly, but I hear it. I see men and women the same. And it's just not true. That's not true. The partner knows it. So let's not lie. Let's not deceive and gaslight. Like, you do notice, and maybe you're working on it, but because it's easier to avoid it by trying to say that. Like, I think sometimes the hypervigilance is because they're trying to find evidence that supports what they already know, but it's not being acknowledged. So,
Right.
I mean, that's a little bit departure from what we're saying, but I hear that sometimes. And I just have to emphasize that we are going to notice, but what do we do with it? And how do we do it in a healthy way? How do you keep it in a relational context in a safe way? Sometimes it is avoiding triggers. It's like, go to the beach or to a place where people are dressed a certain way. Maybe that doesn't make sense.
Right.
For now or ever.
I'm going to hop on what you said is, and if you're in this situation, and please stay away from the gaslighting. Yes, I did notice that person. Yes, I did go into objectification, or I did notice, and this is how I worked my program and stepped away and refocused, like acknowledging to betrayed partner, if that is the case, that yes, you did notice and or objectify, acknowledging that and show how you work your program helps build more trust, because you're not further gaslighting. Just tidbit of what to do there, perhaps, as we close this today.
Thank you all for joining us with this episode. And please like it, or if you want to hear more, follow us, and then you'll be notified of when more episodes come out. If you have a question for us or a comment that you'd like us to address in the podcast, you can email us at conversations.sar@gmail.com, and we do mailbag episodes. And then in the meantime, we wish you well, and we'll see you next time.